All right, welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. Now, today, what we're going to be talking about is entirely nutrition, only things you need to know about it to see success, and honestly, the biggest thing is your relationship. And obviously, still getting settled in with the doing the video and things. I absolutely love doing the video, and I think right now to give you an understanding of where my head's at is, like I have a mic right here and I think you can see it. But the biggest thing is I'm just so used to doing the audio and just kind of getting lost in my own zone, looking at these windows and things. And now I'm just so much more hyper aware of the settings, how I'm looking, where the lighting is and all these different things. And, bear with me. It's going to be a little bit of a test run as we get situated with this, right? Because I might even do different scenes where my video podcast is, but I know the biggest thing, nonetheless, as you know, if you've been here for a long time, is impact. And that's exactly why I want to talk about nutrition is because, now being a full-time online mindset and performance coach, nutrition is an avenue of our lives that we're always going to be attacking. And, being in this industry for the past 2 to 3 years, predominantly really helping people with their relationship with food, we all struggle with it to the same degree. It's just the severity of it just changes with all of us. You know what I mean? A lot of us are all of our journeys are different, but at the end of the day, understanding nutrition is the same for all of us, and it's our relationship. The science, the facts, the ideologies around them, most of them are pretty much the same. It's no different than when the training programs, just very goal specific, and you're going to see success. Just follow them. It's just about the back end of the conversation that no one really has, which is the relationship with food. And I'm going to break it down into 3 simple avenues of it. The first one is systems and routines. You got to have a system and a routine that serves you and aligns with your goals. Because the biggest thing with food is you're going to be eating every single fucking day, regardless of where you're at. So it's about understanding you're going to have to fulfill some type of performance-based goal if you give a fuck about your goals. Whether it's, you're doing CrossFit or a Spartan race or playing sports and you need to be fueled up for those to perform, or you're doing bodybuilding or just trying to cut some fat or gain some muscle, you're going to have to eat according to these goals. So you're going to have systems and routines. And that's even down if you have kids. This is why it becomes funny when I'm coaching parents and they have kids and they're always hyper aware of their nutrition and are always oh, I want to lose weight, gain muscle, and I really don't, I'm so scared to eat and all these different things. But you think the way you have your kids' grocery set up, the way you have your household's grocery set up, it's already systemized and there's already routines set up, but it's just not in alignment with who you are, which is why the relationship with food is so important. The second thing is we're going to talk about non-negotiables versus standards, because non-negotiables are just a healthy lifestyle. Then there's high standards. Right now, I'm 13 or 12 weeks out from a bodybuilding show, literally to a T. I have ridiculously high standards for this fucking goal. Now, I have non-negotiables if I was in an off season or just kind of fucking around and trying to be healthy. Then there's different ideologies, there's different systems, there's different routines, there's different standards for where I need to put my nutrition. No different if you're starting a program. You have higher standards at the beginning of a program versus later on down the road when you're just kind of in this newer version of yourself. You just have your non-negotiables. So I break it down from there. And then the last thing is just giving you guys hacks, giving you guys little simple tips and tricks to understand the simplicity behind food, volume. Volume in food is huge. Right now I'm switching to potatoes because I can have almost 3 times the amount of potatoes as I can pasta. For the same amount of carbs, I get 10 times more volume, right? There's those videos where it says oh, look at the quantity of tablespoons of peanut butter versus the calories versus look how many apples you can have with the same amount of calories as peanut butter. It's kind of things like that, right? But to jump right into it, right? You got to have systems and routines that serve you and understanding why you have them. Prime example, and not to jump ahead and get into non-negotiables and standards, but you got to have a system that sets you up for success. And for me personally, my system is, twice a week I go and get groceries, and twice a week or 2-3 times a week I got to prepare meals. So I have a system for that. You know what I mean? So when I meal prep, it's always Sunday. I always meal prep Sunday. And the reason why that is because I usually get my, and now obviously this isn't the case because I'm in prep, but typically Saturday you go get your groceries, have a little bit of a cheat meal. And I've learned the hard way over the last 7 to 10 years is I never buy groceries and cook them the same day, especially when it's the biggest haul of the week, which is usually on the weekends, right? So typically I'd go to the grocery store on Saturday, get all my groceries that I need for the next week. Especially non-perishables, right? Things that don't go bad, buy them for a week advance. And this is where, again, systemize your ideology of how you're eating foods, right? So if you know you're going to eat X amount of foods over the course of 7 days, then you can buy them for 7 days worth, buy ahead. That's one big system that you got to add into your program. And then the second thing is like, I find like, if you spend about an hour and a half in the grocery store going to multiple grocery stores, different things, the last thing you want to do is go home and spend another 2 hours preparing everything. So, buy everything Saturday. Sunday, I cook everything. And I cook everything for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because again, you can't have like certain foods you can't have for a long time without having to re-up on them, especially produce and fruits and things like that. So then what you do is the second time I go to the grocery store, which is Wednesday, I only got to pick up the things that are going to then Wednesday pick them up, which is a fraction of the time compared to picking up my groceries on Saturday. Then I just pick them up and I cook them the same day Wednesday and prepare for Thursday, Friday, and usually leftovers or the half a day Saturday. Because again, Saturday, we repeat the process. There you go, systemized, and then the routines are all about my life, about understanding. Like prime example, like back in the day, I usually worked on Friday nights or Monday nights or Tuesday nights, sometimes occasional Wednesdays. So I had to understand where my routines were prior to and after my systems, So it's like I definitely I had to make sure that my routine served me, to make sure Saturdays I went to the store and systemized my meal planning and understanding my relationship with food. And the reason why this is so important is because how many of you guys sat there and gone to school or gone to work or gone through your day and you just don't have the food, you're not prepared? You go 5-6 hours without eating and it's like, why? It's because you have no systems, you have no engagement. But if you take a step back, look at why you have the relationship with food that you do, which is like X goal, X reason why you're eating food. And this is why your coach is important, to tell you and give you this understanding of what it all is. And then it's like, then you put a heightened value and heightened awareness on your systems and your routines to serve you. So then you start to protect your time and understand. And that's a whole other conversation of boundaries and setting that up for success, right? But once you start to get this kind of structure in your life, systemizing your, like buying your groceries, getting into a routine of cooking them and meal planning them, it just becomes second nature, And for the longest time, like Fridays ended up becoming like a very chill, became my cheat night for a while. So like it ended up being like, having a little bit of a snack on Friday. Saturday wasn't as much of a cheat meal, but still got my groceries, and then had like a smaller snack, more healthy. Because again, like as I started to progress with this, I really got my hands on really, really firmly on my relationship with food. And that's why it's so important. So to get into the second part of it, non-negotiables and standards, right? So living a healthy lifestyle, you got to have non-negotiables. Like non-negotiables, bare ass minimum is eating 3 meals a day. Eat breakfast, eat lunch, eat dinner. That is non-negotiables, and to be honest, this is where it gets rough and you got to understand the relationship of food, is because most of the time starting a program and most of the time trying to change your life, you realize that you're not even eating that much anyway. So that's the high standard, right? So once you understand non-negotiables versus standards, like prime example, drinking your fucking water. Like how many times, and I know my clients, when you guys watch this and things like this, and even if you're watching, I'm going to start challenging you guys, comment, fucking make a laugh about it, but how hard is it to get your fucking water? And I'm going to take a sip right now. I'm telling you, water is literally the hack. Like, and especially, like, not to be a fucking asshole about it, but we live in Canada. We live in a fucking first world country. Get your fucking water and you shut the fuck up about it. I'm telling you, water is like the essentials. That's non-negotiable. A lot of you guys think it's a high standard because you guys haven't done with it. And then it becomes you guys, oh, why am I seeing so much resistance? Because you don't got a good relationship with it. Fuck off, And not to get on too many tangents, especially with the video. I'm surprised what this is going to look like. But that's non-negotiable. Same with like food, you know what I mean? Like when you start to realize like, food is fuel and it's like it's there for a purpose, you're going to look at it from an entirely different way. And you're going to understand, okay, cool, I need breakfast, dinner, lunch. Like prime example, like when me and Emma started dating, it was funny, my fridge was so empty, but I always had eggs, always had egg whites, always had Greek yogurt, always had rice, always had potatoes, and always had lean ground beef and chicken breast, or if it wasn't chicken breast, it was ground turkey. It's regimented, and it was crazy. I can tell you out the back of my head, it was 2 kilograms of egg whites, 1 18-pack of eggs. Then it was 1 thing of beef. It was at least the 1 thing of beef you could get like a kilogram of beef, and then it was like with the chicken breast, it was either like the 2 kilograms of that, or it was 2 serving sizes of 400. So it would be again 1,600 grams. So 1.6 kilograms. You know what I mean? So like I was systemized with it all. But that's my non-negotiables, you know what I mean? And then like as I got in a better relationship, I have higher standards, so now I have different things in there. So to stop rambling about it, your non-negotiables are like your bare ass fucking minimum. You're getting your water into you, you're getting your 3 meals a day into you, and you're at least fueling yourself. And this is where it becomes cool because, sometimes when you are like, like let's say 10 months into your fucking transformation, and you have one of those days where like, because again, like some of us are busy, man. Like, we got kids. I don't got kids, but I'm speaking for some of my clients and stuff. We got kids, we got like deadlines for work. We got like, we're going for goals, we're busy, we're trying to challenge ourselves. It's not easy. And some days just fucking suck, and you're gonna look back and be like, hey, did I just hit my non-negotiables? And if that's the case, then you don't have to beat yourself up for it. And I think that's the powerful part about it, because then those days that you were fucking skyrocketing, crushing your goals, 10 out of 10, like, flying through the fucking skies with it. You can look at it and be like, look, this is my highest standards. And like, any of my clients that I work with, no, this is when I start talking about like you get resistance for things, non-negotiable. And this is not to devalue maybe some of you guys' journeys and things, but non-negotiable again with the gym is going to the gym minimum 4 times a week. If you go less than 4 times a week, unless you have a specific schedule and other conversations, it's not enough. Period. You're going to take so long to see your fucking success because three times a week is less than half of the week. So if you do 3 times a week, and most likely you're going to miss 3 times a week some weeks, then you literally are only training 1/3 of the year to maybe like 2/5 out of the year. And it's like, you're going to look in the mirror and judge yourself of why you're not seeing success. Non-negotiable, minimum 4 times. But then again, non-negotiable, only 3 meals a day. So imagine you're sitting there and you're like, oh shit, I had 3 meals a day, I had 2 snacks, and I had a protein shake. Boom, high ass fucking standard. Let's say, you're going to the gym, let's say that, wow, and I'm speaking for some of my clients, that Friday fucking afternoon meeting that you always go to and have those little bits of donuts and shit because you guys celebrate the success of the week. Imagine if that meeting got called off and you went to the gym, and it's happened a few times. You get to the gym on Friday, 2 hours before you're sitting in the parking lot at 7 after you've already ate some shit and had maybe 2 beers at work. What if you cut all that out? You got to the gym before that and you crushed your workout, was home and ate a healthy meal, none of that shit. High ass standards, things like this. So the reason why this is also important is because as you gain regulation, systems, routines to give yourself more patterns to crush the non-negotiables and your high ass standards, then you're going to be able to really have a good relationship with yourself. And then the rest of it, honestly, is the education side of it, which is the last tip. I'll give you like a few tips for me for hacks and volume. Volume, I already gave you a description of that, and I'll talk about it in a second. But the biggest thing is you want to set yourself up for success. And everything I said is like 90% of it that you need for nutrition. The rest is all math and science and biology and all this shit. Same with programming. And not to devalue that stuff, but it's like to a T, and that's when I make a joke at the science-based lifters. Like, you can only read a textbook and regurgitate that shit so many times for someone doesn't know. You can only give a meal plan so many times for someone doesn't know. And when you realize that 90% of the people are struggling with the nutrition, it is what it is, So then alleviate that stress, get a healthy relationship with it, and then get the facts and understanding it. Because, after you get everything I just said handled, then learn about macros, then learn about micros, learn about vitamins, minerals, learn about the calories in a carbohydrate versus a protein versus a fat, learning about 4 calories in protein, carbs versus 9 in fats, learn about the different types of fats, learn about all these different things. Then it's relevant. But if you don't have a system or a routine and you don't really know your non-negotiables and your standards, there's no fucking point. Like we can give you a meal plan and sit there and be like, follow it to a T. And it's like, hey, that's great. Do it. Go and have fucking fun. And a lot of you guys have done that, myself included. And then when you're done literally getting sucked of your life out of this meal plan, and sucked out of your life with this program you don't really like because you don't really have any customizations because you're just fucking going to be hard and get shit done, then you're going to go right back to where you fucking finished or started, sorry. So I think the biggest thing about it, to finish off with, a couple hacks and things is, get the healthy relationship with it. Understand it's going to be there for the rest of your life, that you're always going to be systemizing and getting routines with your food, whether you're doing a bodybuilding show or fucking preparing your lunches for your kids. There's going to be some type of standard there. Then that's where you get to your non-negotiables and standards. And I don't know about you guys, but 98% of it's food. Like a lot of people see me train and actually came up to me and it's like, man, it doesn't seem like you train that hard. I'm like, fuck you guys. I train smart as shit. But it's all the food. You got to calculate everything and follow your own rhythms and routines and systems with that shit. But to finish off, like the biggest thing with food to understand it, the last thing is some hacks is like just really find what works for you and just stick with it. You know what I mean? Greek yogurt is high ass in protein. Greek yogurt is the best thing before you go to bed. Like if you have 200 to 300 grams of Greek yogurt before you go to bed with like 50 to 100 grams of berries, which I have almost every single night, that's amazing. And that's a non-negotiable. If I want to have high standards with it, you can add peanut butter, you can add honey, you can add all kinds of extra ingredients in it. And that's one of my minimum meals for non-negotiables I have every night. Things like that, making it a staple. And if you don't like Greek yogurt, you can get regular yogurt and other things. You can add protein powder. There's cocktails and concoctions you can make with this stuff. But Greek yogurt is a hack. And same with honey, because honey's high in sugar, the natural sugars our bodies enjoy. That doesn't put everything out of haywire. So it's like you can really get a lot of positive benefits from just introducing these foods. Prime example for volume. And this is where, standards. You got to have high standards with your food is, potatoes. Potatoes, like I said, I already went on that rant about the volume of how you could have so many more potatoes for the amount of carbs in a pasta. And it's just, are you going to put the time in to make the potatoes you want the way you want to, because it is hard. It does take time. But another thing too is just understanding high fat content foods. Like if you like to use baked goods, air fryer goods, or anything that's like not 100% made from scratch, which is okay. You got to understand how much more fat content is going to be in everything. And that's when you can get into the science of it to really understand why, because it's 9 calories. For 1 gram of fat, there's literally over double the amount of calories than there is in carbs and protein. So they can triple fucking quick. So prime example, potatoes, right? To give you an understanding, if you actually make your home cooked potato fries, you can virtually make them with no fat. But if you go and buy like, a frozen bag of potatoes and then end up cooking them in the oven and things like that, they have all this processed shit on it that ends up adding like 15 grams of fat per serving or for 2-3 servings. And then you're literally for like 60 grams of carbs, you're getting 30 fat. And it's like, you don't need all of those extra calories when you just can go to the regular way of doing it, So things like this, I think like, cooking homemade rice versus buying it saves a ton of money. That's a huge thing as well. Looking for like Quest protein chips for high protein, thinking of like popcorn or things like that. Popcorn, all carbs, no fat, protein in that, very little. That's a hack as well. You can get the seasonings as well, which is very low carb. Things like this, you know what I mean? And even looking for different types of bread. Like there's like egg bread that you can buy versus like regular Ben's Bakery and like things like that. And it's all about making these subtle shifts and these subtle hacks so you really start to understand that like relationship really is just systemizing, like where you buy your foods, how you buy your foods, and all these different things, and about preparing yourself, right? Like, and that's literally all they really eat, and that's funny because that's all it is. And the biggest thing that I want to close off it with is like, at the end of the day, it's always your relationship with food. It's your relationship with everything. It's your relationship with yourself and everything else that's really going to be the reason why you see any amount of success with nutrition. But again, to reiterate, I don't even think I started this at the beginning, but I'm saying all of this from the perspective that you want to see the success with nutrition for the rest of your life. If you want something that's cookie cutter and just cut and dry A to B and is very like, I want to do a bodybuilding show and leave and never talk again. If I want to do CrossFit, X, Y, and Z and never go back to that again over like say 4 months, then that's a different story. Stick to it, throw yourself to the wolves, jump out and get out. But I'm not that type of person. I want a lifestyle change and I want you to be able to embody who you are for the rest of your motherfucking life, But I guess I closed out this episode. Let me know what you guys thought about the relationship with food. And it's crazy that this is on audio now because I actually got it set up right there. I'm going to do the audio differently. I have no clue what that's going to fucking look like. And then, got the video being released that following Saturday. So other than that, stay tuned for the video. Talk to you guys on Monday with the audio. And I appreciate you guys. Let's fucking go. We earned our cut, and the best is yet to come. I'ma milk it till it's done. Step to me, I'll never run. You player 2, I'm player 1. Cross you up, that's 1-on-1. I sent a text, I